Yeah, episode number 9. Did you say 9? We said episode number 9, man. That's crazy. We're up in episode number 9. I'm really happy to be here. Really excited to be here because we're approaching the 1 year anniversary of the Gamma Wave podcast. Something I started last year as a bit of a passion project. And I think it shows that, being 9 episodes in, a year later, we're still doing this. We're still putting out content. We're still putting out great conversations surrounding gaming, anime, movies, music, arts, but not just that. We're taking a look at the layer underneath because there's hidden messages, hidden code, just like in one of my favorite movies, The Matrix. There's more to these different mediums than meets the eye. So we've been unlocking that. And I think every episode can stand on its own to share something helpful, something meaningful. And because I'm a dietitian, we're going to throw in some health, something wellness related, because I want to make sure that we're well taken care of here, not just on the personal growth end, but on the physical or health end as well. So, man, super excited to be here. We have a few things on deck because, as you've probably seen in the last episode, I did rank the Spider-Man movies at that time. Since then, we have Spider-Man Brand New Day. That's out. We're going to talk about that. I'm also going to give a little bit of a reaction to the movie Obsession. That one, definitely worth talking about because, I'll save it for later. But, we got some things to talk about when it comes to the movie Obsession. And there are going to be a few themes that are woven into this episode. One of them has to do with awakening, and I'll leave it at that. We're going to talk about awakening, something that is important to me, and I think it's important to you because, again, we're all working towards something. If you know about gamma wave and gamma brain waves have to do with creativity, flow, focus, and that's what this podcast serves to do, is to help us have that focus, intensity, the creativity, the flow to get after what we're trying to get after in life. So we're going to talk about the awakening aspect. So One Piece definitely going to play a role there as I go through my sticky notes. And then at the end of the segment, we're just going to have one of our signature segments, which is called the Our Daily Sensu Bean. The Gamma Vision, we're going to have some insights, but we're going to keep those two segments, and the other segments that you're used to, they'll come back in another show, hopefully. But today, let's get right into these movie reactions. So first, let's start with Obsession. With the movie Obsession, I got to say this. I didn't really want to go watch this movie, and it's not because I didn't think it was going to be scary. I think scary movies, they're scary because they're scary, and I'm not the movie goer that goes to see scary movies. However, I heard such good things about this movie that I was like, okay, let me go check this out. Everybody's talking about it. It's got some buzz. Let me check it out. And lo and behold, boy, was I impressed. I'll say this about the movie Obsession. You're going to feel something. You may not like how you feel, but you're going to feel something. And I think that's a sign of a good movie when whatever's on the other side of the screen is making you feel some kind of way because of the way the storytelling, the acting, the directing, the editing, all that. And the music, it's an excellent movie. And when I heard that it was a lower budget film, one of my key takeaways was this movie is punching above its weight class by a few weight classes. very well done. And I know the storyline, as I did some research on this, very little research, by the way. It's not an original storyline. However, they did put a modern twist to it, which to me, hey, love that. Um, I talked about the movie Sinners on another podcast, and that's in its own genre as well. It's gonna have some moments that make you feel like, okay, I gotta close my eyes. This is a little scary. It's getting a little too intense. Obsession, definitely there too. Um, and there were parts in the movie Obsession where I was just like, man, ooh, like even though it's not like jumping out at you scary, like they're just like some super creepy parts where you're just like, just again, it made you feel some kind of way, especially when Nikki's doing her like reverse skipping, like she's doing like, I was like, okay, like get that off the screen as fast as possible. That's super creepy. I love the editing or the special effects on that. I'm assuming they played a video in reverse and did it, but I don't know. That's my suspicion. However they did it, great job. Super creepy. The other parts that like really stood out to me was the bedroom scene where Bear wakes up, Nikki's not there, and he's looking around, and so you just see a part of the bedroom from Bear's perspective. And I already knew, and this is the thing about me when I watch movies, I can sense from like a cinematography angle like where the the gotcha is gonna come from. And so I saw it like right away. I saw that she was in the corner on the right, and I was like, oh man. So now I'm just waiting for it to happen. And then like her voice and the way she made herself apparent, uh I'm just like that scenes like that, man, they stick with you, man. They stick with you. So great job. Um yeah, so outside of those reactions, I'm gonna say I do recommend you see this movie. I would say see it at least once. You don't got to see it more than that. It's kind of on the creepier end, but definitely go see it. It's a great movie. If you want to be scared, you want to have something that kind of like psychs you out mentally or psychologically as well. It's got that for you too. Um, yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna limit my reaction to that because I could go on and on. I really want to get to some of the other layers, and this is kind of going into like the gamma vision. And let me see if I can hit this drop just right. Yeah. So entering the gamma vision, how do we get here? In the movie Obsession, well, there's uh, a selfish guy, Bear, who he had an outcome in mind, but the work that he put in was not ethical. I'll say that. And so using that as an analogy or kind of a theme for this episode again, I feel like again if we all have our dreams or we're passionate about something, I think it matters the way we go about certain things because there's obsession and there's passion, and how much of either is like too little or too much. When does it cross the line? When does it become unhealthy? So that's something I want us to think about. Or if you've thought about that too, let me know in the comments. Like, is this something you've thought about where you can go about something but it's like unhealthy, an unhealthy way to approach or go about your business with different things? I think for me, there is a healthy way to go about bringing something to fruition. You have to be able to do it in a way that's high moral, high ethics, something that's gonna help you sleep at night. And if you watch the movie, Bear was not able to sleep at night, and he never he never corrected it. He could have went back and reversed it. He could have done some things differently. He chose not to until it was too late. So for me, it's like when I go about my goals, how do I want to do that? Like I want to do it in a way that is one, I can sustain it and feel good about it. If I can't do those two things, I don't think I'm going to be subscribed for very long, which also kind of coincides with, as a dietitian, I'm also coaching and helping people to look at their health and nutrition the same way. Number one, if you can't sustain it, why start it? Number two, if you're not enjoying it, why be in it? Because, I've heard, and I'm pretty sure you've heard as well, there's some diets out there. Yeah, you'll lose some weight, or maybe you'll get, maybe your labs will look better. But if it's too restrictive and you're cutting out foods you really enjoy, is it really worth it? Maybe not. So I think those two things are important as far as like a healthy approach. Um, the contrast to that, I also seen Spider-Man Brand New Day, which I'll give my reaction to Spider-Man Brand New Day first, and then go into kind of like the Gamma Vision stuff. So, as I've broken this down with friends and family and loved ones and people on the internet, I think that Spider-Man Brand New Day is in the same mold as Avengers Endgame, which makes Spider-Man No Way Home in the same mold of Avengers Infinity War. And I think you can clearly, if you've watched all those movies, I think you know where I'm coming from. Infinity War, No Way Home, very action packed, fast pace. I would say even, great pacing throughout the storyline. Like nothing really lags. It's very like you're hitting those checkpoints on time. Nothing feels rushed. Nothing feels lagged. And the payoff at the end it's definitely there. It's huge. You walk out the theater just kind of getting out, walking off that high of the ending. But you also have like this new low because of the way the movie ended. And so one of my critiques about Brand New Day and Endgame is that when we left from the previous movie, we already know how it felt. We had to sit through those emotions until the next movie came out. So we don't need to come to the next movie or the sequel and spend, 90 to 130 minutes or 120 minutes kind of going through the emotions that we already sat with in between the sequels. We don't need that. We could have spent less time on the down, woe is Peter Parker, kind of mopey storyline. Like we didn't need that much. It was too much. That was one of my takeaways about Endgame. It's my same takeaway here with Brand New Day. I think we spent too much time on the down stuff. But I think they had some cool moments too. Hulk, I love him. He's one of my favorites. It was kind of, I think we're working backwards with the Hulk. The MCU, we got some things to work on with the Hulk because I thought we had Smart Banner or Smart Hulk, and we see Savage Hulk come back. I don't know, what are we doing? I'm not impressed. Please do better. I thought it was cool to see Punisher. I thought he was a great addition to the story. Great parts there. We had the whole friendship, power of friendship, which to me, as I'm thinking about this movie, it gives me impressions or slight shades of Naruto and The Matrix, starting with Naruto. When Peter finally accepts his identity fully and integrates them, he awakens the Sharingan. That's what it seems like. I'm gonna put that music in, or that sound effect in post. It's like activating the Sharingan. That's what Peter Parker, when his eyes go all black, fully dilated. I'm like, oh, that's the Sharingan. That may be even the Mangekyo Sharingan because he gave up two of his best friends. That's tough. And his ability to just his visual prowess, as they say in Naruto, was off the charts. This guy was seeing everything in slow motion, just like that scene in The Matrix where Neo's fighting Agent Smith in the hallway, and he's going from blocking with two hands to like, oh, this dude's so slow. Like, I don't even need two hands, to like putting one hand behind his back and then blocking him off and then yawning mid blocks. That's some of those scenes in Spider-Man very reminiscent of those clips there. So yeah, really, really like those parts. The payoff I wish was greater for all the emotional uh, roller coastering you had to go through. Like we knew it was gonna be sad. We didn't need to spend 90 plus minutes on what was Peter Parker. But I digress. Definitely, no. Okay, I don't digress just yet. Thinking of my rankings as a whole, where does Spider-Man Brand New Day rank? Does it crack the top 3? My answer is you're going to have to wait for that. So I wanted to get to how the ability part and kind of comparing to obsession. Peter Parker, he had to, awaken something as well, but the way he went about his awakening at first, it was unhealthy. It was unhealthy because his DNA is unstable. It was too much on the dark side, and that kind of made him do some things that put others in harm because he didn't have the balance and his approach. It wasn't healthy. However, by the end of the movie, he is able to have this healthier approach, healthy balance between all those parts, and he's able to fully awaken his his spider DNA, the abilities, and integrate everything perfectly. And that was through trial and error. And speaking of like a healthy approach, I feel like a healthy approach, sometimes there's failure in your approach before you reach success. I'm going to say that again. Sometimes in your approach to awakening an ability or awakening a dream, awakening an outcome, there's going to be failure before success. And that's okay. Embrace the failure because the failures usually come with a lesson. They usually come with some type of insight that'll help you overcome that obstacle. So with that lesson, going back to like where do I rank it? It does not make the top 3, unfortunately. It was still a good movie. I'm gonna go back and watch it again. It's just I think there's others in my top rankings that are higher. It's not better than No Way Home. It's not better than Spider-Man 2. It's not better than Into the Spider-Verse for me, or Across the Spider-Verse. Those movies to me, I'm like I like the ride of those movies from an action standpoint, the hero's arc and journey standpoint, and an emotional standpoint especially. I think that one's pretty obvious. So we've talked about obsession. We've talked about the movie Spider-Man and the theme of being passionate or obsessed in your approach towards an outcome, whether it's healthy or unhealthy, the ways you're going about your dream or awakening an ability or a dream, which is to me like those elements. When I think about them, I'm also thinking about One Piece. I'm thinking about how Dr. Vegapunk explained that devil fruits came from someone that wished for that ability. And that's how the devil fruits came to be. So you have the devil fruits of, like the rubber fruit, the fire, um, the trimmer, the human fruit. There's all different fruits out there. What is the string, the gum fruit, the mochi fruit. So there's all these different abilities. But you'll notice in One Piece that not every devil fruit user awakens the full ability. So I think one of the bigger surprises in the One Piece universe is that Whitebeard, he never awakened his devil fruit powers. As strong and renowned as Whitebeard was, he never awakened that ability. So what does that say about your effort and just like you as a person, or what can we take away from this? it doesn't matter if you're, how strong you are. You have to have something that aligns with that gift or with that fruit. Because if you're not in a total alignment, the fruition of that never will come to pass. So I think of One Piece, and I definitely think of Luffy. Right now he's awakened his devil fruit ability, and that's because he's been in alignment with it. It represents freedom, and for Luffy and his personality and his internal compass, those two align, where you see that expressed in his awakened ability, but you don't see that for everyone. And I think for us, like, our takeaway is, like, even though we're given different abilities, different gifts, talents, skills, we have to be in alignment with it, because our effort can only take us so far. If you're not putting your whole heart, your whole soul into these different works, what good is it? Because if you don't have the faith behind what you're doing, it's going to amount to nothing. And I think about Joseph and how he had a dream, and his family, they didn't really believe his dream, but he kept his faith, and he also kept working towards it. And eventually, when the opportunity came, he was able to capitalize on that in the way of helping others, showing his gift, and making this gift serve the greater good. So I think about that as well, because I think that's an important part. I think that's an important theme to take away from all these different pieces of media, whether it's Obsession, Spider-Man, One Piece, Joseph in the Bible. What are we working towards? How are we working towards it? And is our heart fully invested in the work that we're doing? I think that's the ingredient, or those are the ingredients for a healthy approach um, towards your outcome. And that's the message I want to leave everyone with is, how are we able to incorporate all three of those ingredients towards that healthy outcome? So let me know what you think, guys. Gamma Wave, the Gamma Gang. What are your thoughts on that? This is an idea that, I had a lot of different ideas for this podcast. I was really excited to, just kind of share those thoughts, as scrambled as they may be around everything else that we talked about. I think you can see the core theme of awakening an ability, awakening a dream, working towards an outcome. Gamma Wave is all about, of course, gaming, anime, movies, music, arts. But if you think of gamma wave, there's gamma brain waves that associate with creativity, with focus, with flow state. And I think we need some of these other elements to help push us to unlocking the greater aspects and, unlocking those outcomes for ourselves. So, as we wind down this episode and we get to our daily sensu bean, so talking about dreams, I thought, let's talk about magnesium, because magnesium helps with sleep. And it's hard to dream if you're not getting any sleep. And sleep is also super important. It's the foundation of your health. We talked about diets earlier, and I think the best thing that can support your diet is actually a good night's rest. You're going to need both. And since we're talking about sleep, magnesium is going to be one of those nutrients that you want to include in your diet pattern. And so I have some foods here. I have a list of magnesium rich foods. Make sure to incorporate these however you can. Foods like pumpkin seeds, bone broth, soybeans, tofu, chicken, turkey. We have dark green leafy vegetables, citrus fruits, organ meats like liver, avocados, beans, nuts and seeds, dark chocolate for my dark chocolate fans out there. We have whole grains, hopefully 100% whole grains, and even mineral water has inorganic magnesium. So make sure that you incorporate these. Magnesium helps improve your sleep by helping you relax, calm down, and even when you have those racing thoughts as you go to bed, it helps to just lower the volume to help you transition to sleep. This has been episode number 9. And I appreciate all you guys for joining. We're heading towards episode number 10. And I have a special announcement. My voice is about to go. My special announcement is that for episode number 10, we have another special guest. I'm really excited to bring this guest on. We had a great conversation earlier this month. The episode is edited. It's finished. We're going to start promoting it very soon. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, make sure you comment, and also show this show some love. We need some more. Our goal is to get to 100 subscribers on YouTube. We are 38 subscribers away. So we need to do our part and share and subscribe and get this out there. This community is growing, and we want it to grow some more because of the mission of this podcast, the mission of this show. So, with that being said, this is your host, Caleb, signing off for the Gamma Wave episode. Until next time, take care. Episode number 9.